Over the sea, from the mainland of Europe towards Britain, comes at dawn a British bomber, its night's work done, making for its base. The pilot checks over.
Hello, all you blokes. Any casualties?
Ray Gunner here, Skipper. Reckon I'm a bit of a casualty. I'm feeling very sore.
Why? Because you haven't had a chance to pot Jerry. Oh, that kind of soreness. Why don't you try it standing up?
Nearly home, nearly safe. They did their job, they got through the flak and the fighters. But you can't ever be sure that you got through quite unscathed.
Hello, Skipper. Engineer here. Number 5 starboard tank must be whole, because we haven't run on it, and the gauge is down to 60. Number 3 tank also, or its pipeline, because that's down to 20.
Sounds like trouble. We must run all engines off number 5 starboard. Turn on 5 and all balance cocks. Everything else off. Navigator, check up quick. Can we possibly make base on port tanks only, using, say, 120 gallons per hour?
Half a sec, Skipper. We can't even make the coast, sir.
Wireless operator, send out an SOS.
Okay, sir.
Hello, navigator. Whereabouts do you think we'll have to ditch?
Wait a minute, sir. It's about 50 miles east of Cromer. That is, if we don't lose any more fuel.
Yes. Okay, engineer. Over to starboard 3.
Hello, Skipper. Engineer here. Going back now.
Right. Use port tanks. Turn off all starboard tanks. On port 2 and 3.
Okay, Skipper.
Hello, Skipper. Wireless operator here. I've sent out our estimated ditching position. I've also got a fix, first class, and passed it to the navigator.
Okay. Hello, navigator. Where does that put us?
On track, sir. About 40 miles from where I reckon we're going to ditch.
Okay. Hello, all you chaps. Dinghy, dinghy. Prepare for ditching.
Prepare for ditching. Do you know what that means? It means they must put their plane, a land plane, down on the sea. It will sink, and they'll be left with this. This, believe it or not, is a boat. A rubber dinghy with a bottle of gas that can inflate it in 10 seconds. It sounds a pretty desperate craft in which to sail the sea, but these floating air cushions of the Royal Air Force are wonderful little craft. Scientific design, superb workmanship in British factories, and excellent compact equipment have made it possible to pack into this little bundle a lifeboat that has saved great numbers of lives. Let's have a look at this pocket battleship. Like any other ship, the dinghy has her rope ladders. If the crew drop in the drink, they can pull themselves out by these. This rubber is hardly armor plate, and the dinghy may be holed by enemy fire. That's taken care of too. The dinghy carries its own supply of special leak stoppers, shaped to fit any size bullet hole. Gas is always liable to escape, and the dinghy gradually gets deflated. To pump it up again, the crew use these topping up bellows. Slower than high-pressure gas, but just as effective. Any old sailor will tell you the value of a sea anchor. That's standard equipment on the dinghy too. It's simply a bag that creates a drag, checking the dinghy's drift, making it easier for rescue planes to find. A dinghy cruise in bad weather is no picnic, so the crew have this waterproof shelter. That's it, boys. Button yourselves in. This also keeps water from washing aboard. When a bomber crew lands in the sea, there's no certainty they'll all be able to step from the plane to the dinghy. So here are lifelines. And when a bomber comes down, it's sometimes a good idea to get away from it as soon as possible. So the dinghy has paddles. Not a bit like any paddles you know, but quite useful. Suppose a dinghy opens upside down. That can happen, and that's taken care of too. Here's how they turn it right way up. But this isn't strictly necessary. Hello! Nothing is forgotten in this well-found little ship. For instance, there's that first necessity of a sailor, a knife. And this too is specially designed for the dinghy. The blade is punctured for lightness. The cutting edge is curved to make it less likely to damage the dinghy. The cord guards against loss, but it's long enough to let anyone aboard use the knife. And if it should fall overboard, the handle is cork, so it floats. Along with the dinghy go 3 emergency packs. Just 3 more neat little bundles from Britain. But they, like the dinghy itself, save lives. The first pack contains food and drink, canned tomato juice complete with opener, and so that none shall be wasted, they stop the hole with a match, or chewing gum will do. Drinking water is canned and opened in the same way. Drinking cups are marked so that rations can be divided fairly. The emergency food is scientifically planned to give the most sustenance in the smallest space. There are biscuits, malted milk tablets, and tablets for purifying impure water if the can supply runs out. And there's that staple emergency food, chocolate. But even with all this laid on, nobody wants to stay in a dinghy indefinitely. So the second pack is full of devices to attract attention. Marine distress signals, with special covers to keep them dry. That's just one more reason for saving rubber. A shield to protect the hands goes with the flares. Vary cartridges, signals in battle, and signals at sea. Each dinghy carries a supply with a Vary pistol to fire them. This little bundle is a substance called fluorescein. It is trailed on the sea and makes a vivid green stream which can be seen from the air 8 miles away. And there's also a balloon with its own special gadget to inflate it. The balloon serves to attract attention, but its main job is to support the aerial of the portable radio. Oh yes, there's a radio. And this little ship even has a mast, a telescopic mast on which a flag can be hoisted. Everything to attract attention and save lives. What's this? Equipment for fancy dress balls while adrift? No, just a bright colored cap for each man to wear to help attract attention. One of the things you'd miss most if you had to go without it is a match. Here are matches that stay alight in a storm. The third emergency pack is the ship's medicine chest, a well-planned first aid kit. And just to make sure that no chance of calling for help is missed, the bottom of the box is a heliograph. All that, and it packs into this. One little bundle that may save the crew of a bomber. Let's go back to the bomber we started with and see what happens to the crew when they prepare for ditching.
Engineer ditching. Regular ditching, sir. Navigator ditching, sir. Regular ditching, sir.
Well, looks as though poor old David Miller's going to ditch again.
Certainly does.
Oh, hello, sir. Alpha Robert gave an estimated position of ditching a quarter of an hour ago. He expects to put down here. I've got air sea rescue cracking. They're sending out aircraft and HSLs as soon as dawn breaks.
Hello, wireless operator. Get back to your ditching station, quick!
Okay, Skipper. Wireless operator ditching.
Hello, second pilot. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, Skipper. Let us turn gently.
Here it comes, chaps. Hold everything. Get hold of that copy on top. Come on, get cracking. Hold in. Coming up. Engineer here. Yes. Rear gunner here. Yes. Second pilot here. Yes. Wireless operator. Yes. Front gunner. Yes. Navigator. Yes. Off engineer.
Search plane, off to the area named in the last radio message to scan the sea. The Air Force has rescue launches too, but if the Navy is nearer, the Air Force calls on the Navy. Lives depend on these rescuers and on the dinghy. The naval motor launch puts out to sea. It's a small thing to look for, a dinghy, but the launch will be guided by the search planes. By air and sea, the eyes of Britain seek the men who've done their job for Britain and haven't got back. In the incessant raids of Bomber Command, some air crews must ditch, and they may drift hours or days, and their lives depend upon the speed and skill of the searchers. Sighted! And the plane drops a smoke float to guide the launch to the spot. This crew is lucky. Their rescue came soon. But the swiftest rescue would have been too late if it hadn't been for this.